What's up, everyone? Just dropping another video because there's been a lot of developments over the last, I'd like to say, week. I mean, we got the pump.fun fork pump tires. So a new meme coin launch pad was released. But the main thing I wanted to go over today, let me share my screen, is I wanted to go over the OA staking billions and billions of hex. So I got my screen shared. There's a lot of speculation now on why. Get off that. A lot of speculation on why he did what he did, or the OA, or the entity that holds all the hex. Now, I'm thinking it's meant to curb inflation. So let me see here. I think it's going to be extremely bullish for the whole ecosystem, because now if you look at it, let's go down. We're on apex.win. You can see the payout per T-share dropped. Right now it's currently 3.73 hex per T-share when it once was 7.5. So it's over half, roughly 55 to 60%, I think. So I'm bullish on that for multitude of reasons. One, it's now with, depending on how the OA does this, if this is what their intention is, they could theoretically do 7-day rolling stakes and pump the T-share price up while soaking up a bunch of inflation. So that could be bullish for the long-term price appreciation. So if you look at it, we're just under 40,000 hex per T-share. And what really got me thinking is, it was a video uncovered by RH. Someone found it. I want to play this for you guys.
We get rid of the halving.
Of course we should
get rid of that. Okay. So you like when the inflation rate goes down over time?
Correct.
Yes?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Well, guess what, buddy? If those addresses that hold all those hex decided to lock it up, do you know what the net effect would be to retail users?
If you took your 90% and
you fell for my trap card.
If you took your 90%,
it can only get better.
Richard,
you fell for the trap card.
You have 90% of the hex, so
we get rid of the halving.
So you heard it. If inflation, if they feel, because hex is meant to be a self-balancing system. So if you were to have an entity that thought there was too much inflation going into the system and wanted to rebalance itself, theoretically, you could have that entity stake all that hex and reduce the inflation. And that's what you might be seeing. So let's listen to it one more time so you actually hear it again.
Of course we should.
No? Okay. So you like when the inflation rate goes down over time?
Correct.
Yes?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Well, guess what, buddy? If those addresses that hold all those hex decided to lock it up, do you know what the net effect would be to retail users?
If you took your 90% and
you fell for my trap card.
If you took your 90%,
it can only get better.
Richard,
you fell for the trap card.
You have 90% of that.
You heard it from a man. Fell for the trap card. But yeah, so cutting the inflation, if you look at Bitcoin, the Bitcoin halving, that happens every 4 years. What happens after the Bitcoin halving? You see the price go up for the next 12, 18 months. The inflation gets cut in half, supply and demand, there's demand keeps going, the supply drastically reduces. Now, here's another dynamic with hex that I think even amplifies it more, which is the staking behavior. What happens when people see green candles in hex? They might want to, people FOMO, people buy in. So, I mean, they might create more stakes. So, and that's pushing what happens to the supply if the inflation just gets cut in half and people are continuing to stake long term. Hex is going to get ultra scarce. So let's look at the liquidity pool. 880 million hex for sale. Now, you're probably going to see this number slowly dwindle away now because, again, the inflation just got cut in half. Well, the V2 pool plus the V1 pool. Oops. 890 million hex. So some people think that maybe the OA, I mean, now let's logically think about this. If the OA were to do a long-term stake, it could really drop the inflation for years. But I don't think that's what they're going to do. I think if anything, you're going to see a 7-day rolling stake. I think that's what makes the most sense to me. I could be wrong. This is all speculation. At the end of the day, there's no one out there that knows anything on what's going to happen. Everyone's speculating. There could be 10 different scenarios that play out. But the only thing we know is inflation just got cut in half. So the last time the OA staked was right before Big Payday. And what did you see 3 or 4 months later? The price ran from 2 or 3 tenths of a penny to 55 cents over the next 10 months. So, and this makes things even more interesting if you were to go to Pampy. Inflation cut in half, plus the OA or whatever the entity is deciding they want to buy more hex. I mean, $232 million injection into hex and pulse hex. I didn't really punch any numbers, and I'm just like, I don't give up price predictions. I speculate on what I think possibly happened. In no way, shape, or form is this me endorsing or saying it's going to happen. I think personally, my view, and you shouldn't make an investment off what I say, but I think $1 hex is FUD. I mean, if you just look at the supply and demand dynamics, we're going into probably one of the biggest crypto bull runs ever. I think could potentially be the biggest crypto bull run ever. So overall, I'm extremely bullish on the developments that you see happening. Let's go. See, is there anything else I wanted to go over? Again, this increased the T-share total. Well, this hasn't updated yet on here. This is how many T-shares that were just in the pool before the OA stake. 8.7 million. I think there's over 16 million now. It might be 18. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. Let's see if we can see it on here somehow. You see this little dot way up here. That's the T-share just shot way up. Let's see. 18. Yeah, I think there's over 18 million T-shares in the pool now. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's 16 to 18 million T-shares in there now. But now we don't know. We'll have a lot more details and knowledge about what this means when that 7-day stake ends. That's like 6 days from now. So we'll have a lot more details on what this is, what they're doing, and if they end stake it, how much could that increase the T-share rate? That's another thing to speculate. I don't know the exact math on that now. I'm sure Crispy Man, I'm sure he'll have that figured out. But as you see, right under 40, it's already projected to hit like 41,000 around Valentine's Day. So when this comes out, I mean, if this really increases the T-share rate, if it starts jumping, if he does, so not only is the inflation being soaked up because it got cut in half, the OA's soaking up the inflation, and if it's pushing this T-share rate up, it's going to get harder for people to get T-shares. In reality, I mean, it's all price positive for Hex. Now, I don't know, you can see people's staking behavior change, because now I still believe in the product long term. Nothing's going to change on my end. I'm still going to continue my ladder. I'm still going to stake long term because I believe in the product. What if the OA decides, hypothetically speaking, what if the OA decides to do this for a few months, maybe a little longer, and then after it soaks up all the inflation and helps jack the T-share rate up, maybe it stays liquid again, and people that are staked long term start earning more yield again. It's a self-balancing act. So I mean, it's always going to do what's best for the system. That's why I'm not really concerned about it, because whatever it does is to benefit the system, to benefit the holder, the stakers. So again, I'm bullish. You should be bullish. We're setting up for something pretty cool this year. So I'm probably going to leave it at that. You guys heard it from him right on that video. I mean, what happens if there's too much inflation? All the coins could get staked, and that could benefit the price. I mean, you see what happens when the Bitcoin halving happens and if inflation gets cut in half. What happens to the price of Bitcoin? Well, what happens to the price of Hex if the inflation in Hex gets cut in half? Not to mention, people could stake their Hex up to 15.2 years. So again, I think you're going to see a huge supply shock. You're going to see a lot of Hex get soaked up. You're going to see a lot of Hex get taken off the market, and you're going to see a lot of price positive momentum, I believe, in the coming months. We are in 2025, so there's a lot to be excited about, and I'm probably going to end it there. Make sure you go on my Twitter, Tails Crypto 369. Make sure you follow me there. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube. Hit the like button, share. This is a pretty big event. Make sure the news gets out. Make sure people get their Hex and their T-shares and solidify their positions, because again, a T-share could very well be out of reach pretty soon here. I mean, you see it's $461 for a T-share. What if Hex is $1? That's $40,000 for a T-share. Like, a normal person ain't going to be able to have one anymore. Like, if you don't accumulate them now, this might be your last little window to get your T-shares. So I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.